So before I get into the main topics of both our works, and as I said on the previous message the other day, I got the opportunity to record a similar audio for friends about artificial intelligence, and I think it's suited as an introduction for this conversation that we are having this afternoon. So, and my conversation the other day started about privacy. With the background theme of artificial intelligence, but privacy nonetheless. And in particular, the misconceptions about privacy, what is privacy, in particular, what is not privacy and what is not private. And in that sense, I decided to explain with a few examples using real, easy to understand places for presenting my argument about what is not private and what is actually private. And so my first example is, and is easy to understand, if we go outside in the street, in a sidewalk, if we go, for instance, to a restaurant, if we go to a cinema, if we go to a pub, if we go to a disco, if we go to all those places where anyone else may also be, that is considered public space by definition, and also in legal terms. If we drive a car, is that considered a private place or not? The private car is individual property, it's personal property, but to me it's not a private place. And it's easy to understand. You drive outside on the streets with transparent windows, it has doors, you can open your windows, you can listen to music, open your windows, you can go and be talking while driving with someone else next to you. And all that can be seen up close or afar from someone else, including technology. Technology is all around us nowadays, in particular in cities, in smart cities. And those technologies are able to perceive, to some degree, what is happening inside your personal car that you are driving to someplace, to work, to pick up the kids, or someplace else. So, to my mind, while driving your car, despite the car is your personal property, it's not a private place. It has some degree of privacy. Let's say, for instance, you are on a public road in the middle of nowhere, and no one else is there, and you are sure about it, that no one else is there, and there's no way that it exists any kind of device, any kind of internet, and you are rest assured that that despite being a public place in the middle of nowhere, you will have some privacy in there. At least until someone passes by you, and during that moment it ceases to be private. The other example is at home. Is our homes private or not? And again, our homes are not private as we like it to be. At least when reading all the concerns about privacy online, I have to conclude that our homes are not private. Because again, it does have transparent windows, open doors, And anyone, including technology, can see through and even listen conversations with some degree of quality or not. It depends. And because of that, it's not private, a private place. And the best example is considering that you have a family with your kids and your wife or your husband, and you are watching the news piece on prime time on your big screen TV, and you are thinking for yourself, you are having an opinion about that particular news piece, but you are unable to express it verbally to your wife or to your kids about that particular subject. And despite being your family, but you are unable to express it for some unknown reason at this moment. So, where can we find a truly private place? And it actually exists. And I've read it a few years back, a news piece about viewers on YouTube having more honest and truthful opinions about news piece content on YouTube videos that they watch. And that happened when they were watching on their toilets, on the bathroom, alone, with the door closed. In that particular room at home is where, at least in 2016-17, was the freest place on earth, on planet Earth, to have an opinion online. And things haven't changed that much since then, and so I believe it's still the best place to have an opinion. Unless you live alone. If you live alone, some degree of privacy applies at home, as it should be. So let me now move back to the internet, and what does it mean in terms of privacy? What is the internet and what is private on the internet? And my answer is there's no privacy on the internet. It's a term that is being abused just because of the internet being so new to many. See, the internet only exists in your home for a few meters in a fiber optic cable or a copper cable from your router to the connection to the outside of the building. That is the physical limits that you have some ownership of the internet, and that's it. When it goes outside of your property, you don't know what happens to that fiber optic cable, to that copper cable, and anyone is connected to it. That is the factual truth about it. So, on your smartphone, the only thing that you have private is your smartphone. And even then, it's only private because you're holding it on your hand, on your pocket. If someone picks it up and stole it from you, it's no longer private. And the only thing that it's private on your smartphone is the files, the documents, the photos, the videos, and all the rest, the banking apps that you hold on the memory card of your smartphone. If, and that comes with an if again, and the condition is if those files are stay there and are by no means accessed from the internet connection on that smartphone, which is a big if. And that's why we all have these concerns and security measures put in place to minimize that risk to a level that is considered acceptable and safe, although it's not the right word to use. It has an acceptable level of safety. So what is the better word that describes privacy on the internet? And the better word is, for instance, restricted. On the internet, you have restricted access. Is restricted by a password, is restricted by some kind of token, some kind of key that will allow you or disallow you access to data. So in those terms, we have to see all this internet and intranet as a restrictive network with restrictions, but not with privacy. This is the first correction that is needed to be understood when arguing about artificial intelligence. So, if it's not private, what is it then that is concerning us all about privacy on the internet? And again, the main concern is not so much about privacy, but it's about data. We just simply put it on the box of privacy-related concerns. But the actual concern in anyone's minds is data, my personal data, where is it stored, and what are they doing with it that I don't know about it. And that is the concern that is raised using the privacy flag. And in that sense, artificial intelligence is presented as that super intelligence that knows all about someone else, anyone, and has the ability to understand before that particular person is able to understand her own next move for the next day. That is the fears that one can read on the internet about that super, almost godlike intelligence that is able to take away our individual freedoms just by knowing personal things about someone's personal life. And so, a few weeks back, it was approved here in Brussels, a legal package about explainable algorithms, explainable artificial intelligence, that states that artificial intelligence computer code needs to be accessible for auditing, for policing, for fiscalization by someone else, for an authority, by someone representing an authority. But it's a good step. I'm not saying the other way, but to me it's not quite there yet. It needs even more. Explainable AI needs to be moved to explainable algorithms, which in practical terms means open source, that is living nowadays on GitHub, for instance. And with it, the ability of anyone, any citizen, to inspect, to audit, to see the computer code, to see the computer algorithms, whether it's artificial intelligence, machine learning, or any other, find bugs, find errors in computer code, and provide some kind of feedback, some kind of comment about his or her understanding on the code that have just analyzed. That is where I think artificial intelligence needs to go in order for any of us be in peace of mind in regards to what the heck they are doing with my personal data. And when that happens, you are not only able to see the computer code running, but you are also invited to do the computer code also and participate on that computer code. Have your own line of code written by you, your own conditions, your own conditional ifs, the things that you want it to behave or to output, the things that you don't like it to output. And for the best of all, you can do it on a repository on GitHub. You will find the code there and be part of a user that you can simply fork the code, make some changes, and commit back to the main branch and hope the community of those that are committed on writing that particular piece of code accept what you wrote, and if not, provide an answer why is not acceptable, or why is that acceptable and welcoming. And I think with this, I delve into your paper position on big data and public decision making. So in sum, is needed to make some adjustments in terminology, replace privacy by restricted, and also adopt open data and open source legality, now in the form of legal terms, but more importantly, guidelines and normatives that can guide us all on best practices to code such kind of algorithms, artificial intelligence, machine learning, or any other. Now, moving to my paper about biointelligence and neuromorphic computing. And my paper is about sensors, biosensors and machine sensors in reality, and how a sensor, what is the role of a sensor, not one particular sensor, but when installed to a certain number of sensors in a machine, that can be equally compared or considered to the same level of biosensing that all humans have. Biosensor here is, for instance, the 5 senses that we all know about it: vision, taste, hearing, smell, and touch. But there are others. For instance, the sensing ability of temperature, the sensing ability of pressure, the wind in our faces, in our body, the sensing ability of magnetic fields around us, with many have more conscious, in a more conscious way, and others in a more unconscious way. The sensing ability of electric fields, for instance, feeling an electric shock. The sensing ability of any kind of radiation, radio radiation, for instance, on antennas, transmitting data or transmitting some kind of electric field, electromagnetic field. The sensing ability of joining all those senses into something, into a new sense, a mix of senses, for instance. And I can continue with many other sensors, biosensors that human biology has. Not only human biology, but nature itself has constantly working and sensing the environment at every moment, every passing moment, every second, every millisecond that is happening in the present now. And how those biosensors translate into into the machine world, and how can that be equally compared to humans, to human intelligence. So in a machine world, there's also sensors. For instance, a camera on a smartphone is a sensor, is a vision sensor. It's it's a more rudimentary vision sensor that we humans have. It's a 2D vision sensor. It doesn't have the ability to perceive depth. It only perceives image as if it were in a frame, in a 2D frame, in a two-dimensional frame. There's also microphones that have the ability to hear in all ranges of frequencies beyond that the human capabilities of the hearing, of a human hearing. There's also temperature sensors, there's pressure sensors, there's light sensors. Nowadays there are all kinds of sensors too. And when considering installing the same number of sensors and the same type of sensors into a machine, how does that affect and mold the artificial intelligence that is running on that machine? One well-known example on the internet is that robotic arm on a factory that has the sensing ability to perceive the worker, the factory worker, that is working side by side with that robotic arm. When is in the line of sight of the next move that the robotic arm is about to do, it waits for the worker to move to a safer place, and only then it resumes the movement that is in the queue to be made. That is a great example, but is also an example that shows how limited the sensing abilities of machines are nowadays. In that particular case, the machine is only able to sense to some degree, to some resolution, if you like it in those terms, that something, it doesn't even know what it is, but something is in the line of sight and keeps it from doing the next operation correctly. And that robot arm only knows that something doesn't know what, doesn't need to know, but something is in that line of sight and is unable to continue what is queued to do. Now, getting back to the initial question, but what happens when a machine has the same number of sensors, the same number and the same type of sensors as we humans do? What kind of intelligence will be? And my best answer, at least in this first half of 2022, is that intelligence only can be a super intelligence, but not that super intelligence that is feared. It's a super intelligence that is in the dreams of all of us, that is in the presentations and public speakings about the better human, that we all need to be every day. Why? Because that machine is able to understand and perceive reality in a degree that we humans, most of the times, decide to put aside. I'm not saying ignore, but put aside on a shadow, on a personal shadow, because we have more urgent, more priority tasks to do on a particular moment. We have to work, we have to pay our bills, we have to pick up the kids, we have to go do some shopping, groceries. And so the other tasks, the other simple tasks, the other gratuitous tasks, cost-free tasks are lowered in that queue to a low priority, and many or most of the times it's not even put on a queue. It's just simply dismissed and life goes on. And I'm speaking about tasks, simple tasks such as the one that happened to me last year, in the second half of last year, right here where I live, in the main square. And in a particular day, I was in the main square. I decided to pick up my laptop and do some Windows update and file downloads on that square. I was tired to be all day at home, so I decided to go there. And while my computer was downloading the files, this old lady came into my field of vision and was carrying a groceries bag. The square on that day, it was a sunny day, it was almost midday, and it was full of people. Someone having a snack, a McDonald's snack, with the fries and the burger. And there I was waiting for the downloads to complete, and at some point that old lady came into my field of vision carrying the groceries. She looked the groceries bag that was really heavy. She was curved with a heavy walk. And so I sat there. I wasn't sat, I was standing, looking at her, trying to understand what I was seeing. And but I did nothing. That's the truth. I just limit to watch and see that person, that human being, carrying the groceries bag while walking slowly. And I wasn't alone watching. I could see also others watching at her while eating fries and talking to each other. And at some point we all were watching and doing nothing. And these are the kinds of things that type of machine with the same level of sensors and sensing capabilities is able to understand better than us, we humans do right now. That machine, that super intelligent machine, will definitely, in that situation, will move towards that person, that human being, that old lady, and ask her if she liked some assistance on carrying the groceries bag. And even if she replied that it was okay, I don't need help, just by social convention, that super intelligent machine was also able to turn around the argument and still assist her with the groceries bag to the entrance of her home. That is how I see sensors functioning and how they change artificial intelligence in a machine. And that super intelligence is by many feared, because it's able to mention, is able to show what we humans are missing every day towards each other. Those simple tasks, those free cost free tasks that we decide to put aside. And in that sense, that superintelligence is not is an intelligence that fears and will definitely will need some kind of police enforcement around it. So just in case someone of us, the humans, decide to attack it and destroy it because it's showing us point blank that instead of just looking at that human being, that old lady, or instead of eating the McDonald's fries, one of us should and must move towards her and ask her if she needed some kind of assistance. So this is how I see this thing in biosensors and machine sensors, and how it will change artificial intelligence that can be considered equal or at least comparable to human intelligence. Of course, there are other kinds of artificial intelligence, but in that sense, I don't think it's the terminology needs to be changed and reviewed again, because it will no longer be artificial and it will be no longer intelligence. It's just data processing by computer algorithms that do perform extremely well and extremely fast, and faster than humans do, and just because of that provide us with all the good things that we are now starting to have access to. For instance, movie recommendations, just in a click of a button. For instance, draw a plot of events expected to happen if we continue with our current plan that we have inputted, and things like that. And to me, it's not. I don't consider that to be intelligent. It's just mathematics. It can be any kind of mathematics. It can be linear, non-linear, numerical, probabilistic, or quantum mathematics. It doesn't matter. It's just it continues to be mathematics running on super fast computers at super fast speeds, at light speeds actually. And because of that, it will fascinate us. It is fascinating us with how fast the results are achieved using those computers, those fast computers and algorithms. And it's just that. It's just because it's fast and we are too slow and nothing more. But I don't consider that to be intelligent, as at least as defined as in human terms of intelligent and intelligence.